Hey, what's up you guys, the Curious Owl here, and today I am going to be talking about my March 2018 TBR, or I guess I should really say my Emojiathon TBR, because this entire month is the Emojiathon, and I'm really excited about it. I've already started kind of going into some of the books that I will be reading for the Emojiathon, and I just wanted to kind of give you guys my challenge picks, basically. I haven't done all of these challenges because unfortunately some of them required me to have to go out and buy the books that I would need to meet the challenge requirements, but I'm currently on a book buying ban, so that didn't happen, but I'm still really excited to be able to partake in the challenge and try to read all of these books within the month. And I also have an additional TBR pick that I picked from my little TBR thing right in here, so I'm really excited to show you guys the books I am going to attempt to read, mostly during this week since I am on spring break, and pretty much throughout the entire month. So the first book that I have on my TBR is for the challenges for the freebie spot and the challenge for a book you have already started but have not finished, and I have chosen Beautiful Creatures, the first book in the Beautiful Creatures series by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. As you guys know, this book I had started before the biannual Billionaires in January but did not finish because I was wanting to get through all of the biannual Billionaires books that I had wanted to read, and unfortunately I did not get a chance to read all of them because I got really sick during that week and it was just a really bad mental health week, and I have not picked this back up really since then. This past week though, I have actually picked it back up. I've now gotten to about 183 pages into it, which I'm really excited for, and this is a reread for me because the Beautiful Creatures series was a series I had started reading when I was in high school, about 14 or 15 years old, and I fell in love with it so much. But I did know that after finishing the first 4 books in the series that there were spin-off novels and novellas and prequel novellas, and so I wanted to do a full reread, kind of like I did with Harry Potter, where I would read all of the books that I had read before and then read all of these supplemental books, all of these spin-off novels and spin-off novellas and prequel novellas that are in this world, and really give myself a full view of the world because I had not read them. The next challenge is for a book that I have not read yet, and so for that I am choosing Fragile Like Us by Sarah Bernard. This was another book that I had wanted to read during the biannual Billionaires, but as I got sick that week and was having a really rough week, I didn't end up picking it up. This is about basically 2 girls who I think are friends, and one is like really jealous of the other, and I think a lot of drama ensues because of it, but I don't really know much about it because I haven't really heard anyone talk about it, honestly, so I'm really excited to get into this one as I feel like it's going to be a little bit more of a darker contemporary, but I'm not quite sure. I mean, the cover makes it look like it's going to be a darker contemporary, but it could be the complete opposite, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. The next challenge is to read a book with mental illness, and for that I have decided to pick up Hate List by Jennifer Brown. Again, another book that I wanted to read during the biannual Billionaires and I didn't get to. And honestly, I don't know how much more modern this can really get in terms of mental illness because of the Parkland shooting, and if you guys watched my last reading vlog, you'll know that I was actually in lockdown for 8 hours on my campus because of a shooter that was on campus that had essentially done drugs and had essentially really lost his mind in that scenario. So I'm hoping that this won't be very triggering for me. I'm actually doing a lot better since that event, but for the first couple of nights it's definitely been really hard to kind of process everything that's happened. So I'm hoping this won't be super triggering for me, but I'm still going to dive into it, and I hope that it's going to be fine because this is all about a girl whose boyfriend actually ends up opening fire in their high school, and everyone is talking about the fact that something is mentally wrong with him, and she doesn't really know as to why he decided to open fire on the school in the first place. Next book is actually going to end up taking up 4 challenges in the Emojiathon because any books you read can take up as many categories as you want them to. For the challenges of a book about sports, a book that everyone has told me about, a book that has been adapted into a movie, and a book that involves travel, I am going to go with the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy, Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. Again, another book that I wanted to read during the biannual Billionaires but did not get to, and I thought it was so great that it counted for 4 challenges of the Emojiathon that I was like, I gotta be able to read this. I've been dying to get back into this series for a long time, especially after having finished Allegiant, and I'm just really excited to be able to get back into this and then be able to finish this and Mockingjay at some point this year. The next book actually counts for 2 different challenges, and that is the challenges for a mystery novel and a book that has diverse characters, And for that, I have decided to pick up London Bridges by James Patterson. This is one of the various novels in the Alex Cross series by James Patterson, which is an adult mystery thriller series, and it's one of my favorite mystery series of all time at this point. I haven't found one as of yet that has beat this series, and I can't really tell you a whole lot as to what's going on with this, as this is like the 10th novel in the series out of like 25 books, as this is a series that's been going on since like the early 90s. So I just can say that this basically involves a black male main character who is an FBI profiler detective that basically ends up going on cases, and it's a mystery novel. So the next book is going to count for the challenge of a sci-fi novel, and it is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I just read Colliding Skies by Debbie Zakin, which was an off-tones book that I read for February that I really enjoyed, and a lot of people were saying that it's actually very similar to The Fifth Wave, but I have never read The Fifth Wave, so I don't really know if that's true. I think it is, in the sense that it's very sci-fi filled, and there's a lot of intrigue and mystery as to why there is this invasion that's going on, and so I'm really excited to be able to read this for the first time, and I really hope that it doesn't let me down, because if I liked Colliding Skies so much, I should be able to like The Fifth Wave maybe just as much. The next book actually now takes up 2 challenges, and that is a book that is older than me and a book that is outside of my comfort zone, and for that I have picked up The Dead Zone by Stephen King, because I do like Stephen King novels, but his writing is very much outside of my comfort zone, as a lot of times it's very hard for me to understand sometimes. I have read Carrie, Hearts in Atlantis, and I read The Dead Zone before. I tried to read it at least when I was in high school, and I really did not get into it, so I wanted to kind of retry it to see if I would like it, and it's definitely older than me. Stephen King's been writing for like decades, and so I know for a fact that this one is older than me for sure, so it definitely meets those challenges, and I do hope that I can get back into it, because I think I got through almost 100 pages of it the first time I read it, but I really lost interest in it because it was very slow and I wasn't exactly sure what was going on. But just like with the Deathly Hallows, when I finished that, I felt more accomplished because I was able to comprehend everything, and maybe I wasn't as advanced of a reader as I am now to where I could understand Stephen King, so I'm hoping that with this reread I should be able to get through it and actually make sense of the whole thing. I also have one audiobook that is going to count for 3 challenges, and it is going to be a re-listen because I listened to this in the beginning of the school year this year, and it is Feel Good 101 by Emma Blackery. This fits the challenges for an audiobook, a book with your favorite color in the cover, and a book that is non-fiction, as this is essentially a collection of essays about Emma Blackery and her life, and essentially having different kinds of elements that, you know, are supposed to not exactly be self-help essays, but are supposed to kind of give people the chance to understand that they're not alone in different situations as they have grown up. Things like love, sex, family, anger, depression, anxiety, things of that nature. I really enjoyed it so much when I first listened to it. It was so comforting to listen to when I was feeling absolutely anxious in the beginning of the school year, and I can't wait to listen to it again because I just love the sound of Emma Blackery's voice. I cannot even begin to describe how happy her voice makes me. I love her, and she's a great narrator, and she needs to narrate more books. I'm just gonna say. Hey guys, so Gabby from the future here, because I realized I forgot a book that counts for 3 other challenges in the Emojiathon for this month, and that is the book Coral and Bone by Tiffany Duan. This is going to be counting for the challenges of reading an ebook, reading a fantasy book, and reading a book written by an indie author, as this is a book from Off Tones Publishing, and I'm very excited to read this one because it's all about mermaids, and it's supposed to be like really dark and really twisted, so I'm very excited to see how this turns out. But yeah, that book I totally forgot to mention in my video earlier, so I'm sorry for that, and I'll get back to the other books that I have listed. And then finally, for my random TBR pick of the month is The Billionaires Curse by Richard Newsom. This is a book from my sister's shelf, and I don't really know much about it. It's kind of supposed to be, I think, a middle grade mystery, fantasy almost kind of story. I don't really know much about it, so I'm going to read the inside flap to you guys. Gerald Wilkins never considered himself a particularly exceptional 13-year-old, but that was before he inherited 20 billion pounds, a Caribbean island, a yacht, and 3 estates from a great-aunt he never knew. With this fortune, however, comes a letter. One from his great-aunt Geraldine. One that tells Gerald that she was murdered and that it's up to him to find out why. Along with his friends Ruby and Sam, Gerald embarks on a journey that will lead him from the British Museum to dodgy social clubs for the disgustingly rich to mansions in the English countryside to secret places far underground. Who was Geraldine Archer, and what secrets was she hiding? Unless Gerald, Sam, and Ruby can find out before the killer does, they may be next. So definitely a middle grade mystery, and that makes me super excited because I love mystery novels, and I always get really excited to see middle grade stories end up taking the mystery route and deal with murder and deception and greed and all that stuff, because honestly, kids need to understand that the world is a really messed up place and people are going to die because of money. And I think this is definitely going to be a really cool, almost maybe a little bit on the urban fantasy side since it involves a curse, but we'll see. I'm really excited to see how this one turns out. So there you guys go. Those are the books that I am going to be reading for March 2018. Most of them for the Emojiathon, and then my one random TBR pick. So let me know what you guys are planning to read if you are partaking in the Emojiathon, or what books you are deciding to read this month if you're just wanting to read in March. So thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!